At the time of recording, it's Friday, the 10th of November 2023. A warm welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about the Belt and Road Initiative scam, rip-off, debt trap diplomacy. But to make it a little bit more interesting, I do have some advertisements that I found about cold, wet, snowy China at the moment, like this. And also like this. Please, before we start, if you do like the content of my videos, make sure you subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Yada, yada, yada. Got that out the way. Now, let's hop into it. The Belt and Road Initiative was created by Xi Jinping, the dictator, the ruler of the People's Republic of China, way back in 2013. And basically, his idea was to invest in countries, get them into debt traps, and then they can control basically the country. That's the Belt and Road Initiative. But you may notice, if you know things about it, they only go into developing countries or really poor countries who need this. Two countries have actually pulled out of this at the moment. The Philippines is thinking about it, and Italy said it's too slow, nothing's happened. But they won't go to big developing countries like the UK or the United States. They would try to, but people would say, what's the point? So this is what happens. China would find a country, let's say Laos in Southeast Asia. Here, they would invest billions of dollars with a high-speed train network. Wow. Now, as a business, which politics is, how do they get their money back? The cost of the actual train, or the train stations, the railway line, etc., is incredibly expensive. And also building the infrastructure is, again, multi-billion. So as a business, how do they get their money back? This is what they don't talk about. They would just say, this is China helping. But no one is going to give $1 billion and say, there you go, mate, enjoy the train. They want something in return. Now, the return could be that they would have 40% of the company in itself, and then they would get their money back eventually over 50 years, for example. But it's more benefit for China than it is to the actual developing country. Sure, the people who use the high-speed train in Laos, for example, would only be the ones who could afford it. What China wants is a rail network from Kunming in southern part of China all the way down to Singapore so they can invest. But they try to manipulate these smaller, poorer countries in order to do so they can have a bigger asset and they can have a yay or nay with that country. So it's a bit of a scam. Now, who benefits from this? Well, obviously it's going to be the government of the smaller country who are going to get a big cash load in their back pocket. Thank you very much. And also China. But the people of that country, they may benefit a little bit, but usually it's something that doesn't help them. So it basically means that China can put their goods all around the world, and they can do this near enough duty-free, tax-free. But when that country wants to push products into China, then there is a very heavy tax level, especially if it's a luxury good where it's going to have a 50% tax on the luxury tax in China. You can see it's all some kind of scam. When the country can't pay back this loan, then already in their contract, maybe it's related to oil and gas, China can have a bigger investment with that and maybe sell their oil and gas to that country, because that smaller country is unable to afford to produce the oil and gas because of this big debt. It's a big scam. And I think with that, it's time for a small break. welcome back. You will see many YouTubers who are pro-China, who live in China, who would praise this so much and say it's so beneficial, it's so fantastic, China is helping other countries. Yeah, but they never say the actual cost. What is the repayment system? How is that country going to benefit? Are they going to benefit? Example, if we go to the railway again in Laos, who are the people who actually built the railway? It wasn't the Lao people, it was Chinese workers, yeah, who got paid in China, not Lao workers. Maybe one or two, but not many. Who runs the railway? It's still going to be the Chinese. It's like Lao is their country. Who is going to pay back? It should be the Lao government. But they don't have the money, so they get into debt trap diplomacy. So what can China get from Laos in itself? They're going to get a trade route, so they can pump more goods into there. So China is the winner, and the Lao government, yep, they do get the cash in their back pocket, but the people are going to get knout. So Italy was the only European country to invest in or to be part of the Belt and Road Initiative, and they pulled out because nothing's happened. There is another one on the horizon, for example, the Philippines, that they are doing near enough the same. They are part of the Belt and Road Initiative from Xi Jinping, and guess what? They are considering to pull out because nothing's going to happen. The Philippines is a poor country. The city of Manila is huge. Yeah? What are they going to get from it? They're going to get more Chinese imported goods. It's going to be at a cheaper price. But what about the stuff from the Philippines or from Italy? To go back into China is going to cost them an arm and a leg, and the Chinese people don't want it anyhow. So you could say it's just a one-way story. It's very clever how they manipulated it, but there are holes in the story, and the holes are that they're not telling us, so it's not transparent about the repayment systems, and that's the whole secret. There is a port in Sri Lanka which they couldn't afford to pay the Chinese government back. Now the Chinese government own this port for 99 years. They own it. Sri Lanka gets nothing from it at all. So they can build, if they want, a military navy base there if they want to, because that port now is sort of more part of China than it is Sri Lanka. And who are the people who work there? Is it Sri Lankans? No. All Chinese workers, Chinese management, maybe a handful, just to keep it comfortable. Who benefited from this? Again, it's going to be the Sri Lankan government. A lot of countries, well, all countries, politicians are corrupt one way or the other. It's just how business is, near enough. Some countries are very open, some are very shut tight, but there's still corruption, like in Singapore, as another example. So this Belt and Road Initiative, China invests billions upon billions of dollars, hoping that they can control it, and the country can't afford to pay it back. So China gets more benefits in the long run. So their $1 billion investment, their return is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 billion over a long period of time. That's the catch of it. And I think with all of that, it's time for a little bit of a break. I'll be back. So why does this happen? Basically, it's greed. It's China trying to be the global dominant country. And they do it in a very sneaky way. Now, you may not agree with your government in your country, like in America or England or France or Germany or Australia. And you would say, most of the time, we would all agree and get very frustrated with the governments or the government of that country, because basically they don't do anything really for us. So when China comes along and say, we're going to do this, we're going to help you, it all sounds fine and dandy at that time. But the realism is, in the future, that country is going to lose. And these poor debt-trapped countries like Sri Lanka, like Laos, possibly some places like in Vietnam as well, in Southeast Asia, they're going to have great difficulties in the future. It's a long-term investment in China. They can afford to do it because their gold reserves, well, they have the biggest gold reserves in the world. So they have the cash to do so, and it's the future of global dominance, trying to knock America off the top market, etc. I think that's all I got to whinge and complain about for today, and it's just for people to be aware of this Belt and Road Initiative. Thank you so much for your time. God bless to all, and I will see you for another video, perhaps a little bit later today. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you.